I talked about the Turning Red movie, which actually wasn't as bad as initial.
Everybody's making out to be.
Yeah,
I kind of figured it wasn't going to be. It looked like something that, I remember being a 13-year-old girl. It looked like something that somebody in that age range would probably identify okay with.
Right.
And that other people are going to freak out about because, let's face it, half the population has never been a 13-year-old girl.
Well, now, I want to just say that I will say that if anybody wants some level of insight as to a good take on the movie, I would say look at just some guy's video talking about it, because he did break it down in a way that makes you go, oh, okay, I understand from a different perspective, aside from, oh, this shouldn't be for kids. No, it's not about not being for kids. It's about, well, it's a coming of age story. It's a coming of age story for 13-year-old girls. But the way that what Justin Guy pretty much says is the way that it was framed, it seemed less like, a hero's journey and more of an I, me, my kind of story. Like it was disjointed the way that they told the story.
Yeah, it was a little, I mean, it certainly wasn't for me. Like that movie was not for a male audience. It was for a 13-year-old girl audience, 100%. And yeah, I would agree. And that's basically what I was saying, was that like the initial reviews that came out, I think some idiot said it was like so sexual and horny. And I was like, what the fuck? It's not that, but there's a couple like sus moments where I was like, what language did they just use? Like, like they use like budding flower.
They're over there like flower. Sorry, I had a joke, and I was about to say, it came off as sexual and horny, and Shrek is over here like, hold my swamp.
Right. You watch Shrek when you're older, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
What?
Well, and that's why, to some degree, I'll be honest, like when you look back on the cartoons that we watched, like there's a lot of very adult jokes in them.
Yep.
But it takes like an adult brain to get them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what this movie does in a way, is that it walks the line really well, and it does it tastefully, but it's just like where I think a lot of cartoons growing up were for like all age or all both boys and girls. This one is for girls. Like there's no one else that this movie is for. My two boys watch it as like, because they think the big red panda is cool. But that's it.
Just Kung Fu Panda, got you.
Right. They don't know anything else other than the red panda.
I mean, in fairness, they are covering a subject that is particularly niche. In terms of, a woman's coming of age. It's something that honestly, and I'm probably I may get canceled by everybody for this. I do think it's important for those kinds of stories to be out there specifically. I mean, there is a lot of I know where you live.
I know where I live too.
Yeah.
Don't come in the room.
There are a lot of generalized stories that can be told, and it's in some way, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say if it's good or bad or whatever, but it is in some way nice to see that people are moving to a point in the world where they can address that specific subject. And yeah, there was some upsettedness about it, but it's something that really didn't, I should say, get covered in the past. I can't think of any stories necessarily regarding a woman's first menstrual cycle that we had growing up. And it might have been nice to have that kind of thing to kind of blunt the suddenness of it, because when it first happens, it's a kind of a trippy experience, and it can kind of mess with the relationships around you, because of it. So it's good to see it portrayed in a PG-13 way.
Yeah, I get that.
It was, and I think you basically hit it. And I'm in the same boat as you. I think to a degree, like, these stories need to be told, and I think it's a good one for young girls to experience, because I certainly can't think of think of something. I think, well, wasn't the movie Carrie about that?
Yeah, but I don't know that I would show that to small children.
Right.
I mean, in some ways, Carrie was about a lot of things.
Right, it was.
Really.
What about
But,
It?
Yeah.
I watched It as a kid too.
Yes.
And now look at us.
I mean, my kids will probably watch that shit. But I
My
mean,
kids, like it's not
I don't.
our kids. Continue.
Okay, our kids will probably watch that shit, whatever. But you know, I don't think most people would show their children Carrie, hoping for them to get an understanding of that portion of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, Turning Red was done was done well enough, and I think it will be a movie that young girls can relate to for sure, and feel not alone, because I'm sure in that moment a lot of girls feel like, oh shit, I'm an island, there's no one else who understands this, and not to mention everything else that's going on. And like, I just think like even not knowing or ever experiencing that, like how they portrayed her, like her room, and how she was like, you know, her obsession with like boys at the time, and how her friends interacted with her, which I was actually surprised that they made her like straight, like she liked boys. I was honestly like floored that was a part of that. I could have swore that they were going to be like, it was going to be something else, but they did portray the boys as like those stupid TikTok boys who are like so effeminate, it makes you sick.
Good grief.
Yeah.